We are a very broad category. It's sometimes actually easier to say what we are not. But when you think about soft drinks, I mean, it indeed goes from, the traditional carbonated drinks that everybody knows, but it goes all the way to things like energy drinks, sports drinks, and flavored water, iced teas. So it's a really diverse category. Because we touch so many different consumers and so many different consumer occasions, we have a really wide diversity in our packaging. Basically, all types of packaging we use. When you look at the latest statistics, mainly 65% is PET, plastic. That is the main type of packaging. But then afterwards, we have metal cans, 20%, glass, 5%, which is nicely divided in refillable and single-use glass. And then the remaining are the things like pouches and carton.
Within Coca-Cola, we're using a variety of different packaging formats to serve our products. We do aim to have the right pack at the right occasion at all times, and to make sure that each pack that we serve is as sustainable as possible. What we mean with that is just to make sure that from a carbon footprint perspective, we go for the lowest possible carbon footprint, as well as that at the end of the packaging is being used, that it ends up in a circular system.
We often enjoy soft drinks during our get-togethers and celebrations, and 80% of the time we enjoy them with our family and friends. So because of this, the on-trade is the biggest channel for soft drinks consumption in our country, accounting for more than 60% of it.
Lemonade, as the French consumers perceive it, is definitely something that you drink at home. So roughly, I would say 30% of consumption of lemonade is done at the bar and 70% at home.
Retail and HoReCa both are very important channels for us. But indeed, in those different channels, we use different types of packaging. So when you think about HoReCa is really the area where we use mostly glass, because it's a setup that works well for glass packaging.
From the beginning, Lorina was in a glass bottle from the very early stages of the brand. And it was born in the region of Lorraine, very close to Germany. And this was already the first bottle that was produced over there in Lorraine. And we stick with this same bottle throughout the ages. So that's why this bottle is so interesting now, because it's a kind of heritage. The engravements are important for us because it's part of our history that is embodied on our glass bottle. And Lorina is famous for its glass bottle, which is iconic now.
Glass bottles are not only the most common packaging for our drinks in the on-trade, but also have specific benefits. Among others, glass bottles were the first packaging used by our industry. They can incorporate recycled materials, and they are very strong and last a long time.
We do know that glass bottles are one of the packs that are loved by our consumers. Now, we've predominantly focused on refillable glass bottles within CCEP, and if we look amongst our portfolio and we look at how sustainable our packs are, if the circumstances are right, so if there is an infrastructure to get the bottles back at a high return rate, if we can reuse our bottles multiple times, which means 15, 20, 25 times, and the distance between production facilities and where our drinks are being consumed is, let's say, within a certain proximity, then returnable glass bottles, in terms of a sustainability footprint, are definitely very competitive amongst the majority of our pack.
One, you have to make sure that your packaging is recyclable, fully recyclable. And here, with glass, we have obviously a great solution. So it has to be fully recycled. Secondly, collection. We have to make sure that our packaging gets collected, and we have made a commitment here that, by the end of this decade, over 90% of our packaging, whatever that packaging is, glass, aluminum, and PET, will be collected. Thirdly, reusing that packaging to make new packaging, using recycled content, making sure that we have a closed loop. And then fourthly, solutions around reuse and refillable. And, when you look at all of that, glass plays a very important role. And, I would expect it to play an increasingly important role going forward. Because, expectations from society, from policymakers are clear. Our packaging has to be circular by the end of this decade. If we do not achieve this, well, there's going to be a discussion about banning certain packages. We have seen, for instance, in France. The only way to avoid it is by hitting those things: recyclability, collection, reusing, and then reuse and refills. And that's where, again, with glass, we have a really good solution here.
Within CCEP, we take sustainability very seriously. And I think we also take our responsibility in there. We've summarized that with ambitious targets in our This is Forward statement. And together with the Coca-Cola Company, we summarize that in the World Without Waste strategy moving forward. And in there we have targets on collection, for example, where we are, by 2030, we strive to get 1 bottle or can collected and recycled for every bottle or can we put on the market. We also have targets around maximizing recycled content within our packaging. Next to packaging, we also have our larger ambition of going for 2040 net zero in terms of carbon emissions. And if we look at the total carbon value chain of our organization, 40% of that sits with packaging. 40% of the carbon footprint of our total organization comes from packaging. And this is why we're so focused on making sure that all of our packaging types that we're using are as sustainable as possible, have the lowest possible carbon footprint. And next to that, we're working very closely with all of our suppliers in order to improve the carbon footprint of our packs. So for example, with the glass suppliers, we're working with them to increase recycled content, work on new technologies to make the bottles more robust, but also work together with them to make their overall process with the glass furnaces and so on, to make them using more renewable energy and make them greener in terms of an overall process.
For us, joining Closer Glass Group was a natural thing because it fits entirely within the vision that we have, that our packaging has to be circular, and hitting 90% or at least 90% collection is within our vision. So from that perspective, it was natural for us to join.
In beginning of 2022, Coca-Cola Company has set a target on a global scale to go for 25% reusable packaging. It's a combination between refillable bottle options as well as dispensed solutions offered in a reusable cup. Today, in Europe, we have about 15% of the units that we sell are offered in returnable bottles. If we look at our European countries, a country like Germany, for example, has the biggest share of refillable bottles, and that's as well in home as away from home. So that's for consumption at home as well as, for example, in HoReCa channel. Other refillable bottles in other countries like Belgium, Spain, France is really focused on HoReCa as a majority and a little bit within at home. But more recently, we've been doing some further rollout, I would call it, and some pilots in France of looking for refillable solutions also for at home. So we're working together with some large retailers within France. We already have a high number of points of sale, going towards 400 within 2024, where we will be offering refillable bottle solutions towards our consumers. And we're really welcoming the fact that the retailers are supporting us to get the bottles back. In other countries, we're really in need of having that infrastructure that supports that take back of our bottles. But if we look at the latest packaging waste regulation that's coming, we do see that that will drive further infrastructure to put into place, and that will kind of facilitate the return of the bottles as well. We will definitely create a platform that we can look into more occasions, more possibilities of implementing more of these returnable bottles within certain channels. take health and safety of the products that we serve very, very seriously. So every bottle that comes back to our factories first goes through a sorting and then a whole washing process. And at the end of that washing process, it goes through a number of checkpoints where we do check whether the bottle is still okay to be refilled. And those checkpoints are, do we see any glass breakage, any micro cracks in there, or maybe some residuals that are left within the bottle as well. And as soon as the bottle is not reaching any of those standards, the bottle will be rejected and actually collected again all together and then used afterwards for recycling. The bottles are already very clean, they are washed, the bottles that we're using are all transparent. We don't have any colored bottles anymore within our system. So the bottles that are being rejected are actually from a pretty high quality as well. So we do keep them separate within the rejection process as well as then for further recycling. Through the waste management system, those bottles are delivered back to glass furnaces, which are then being reused to make new glass.
We noticed with our partners, which are glass recyclers, that they have some specific packaging element they really want to avoid in their process. These materials are the ones that are not melting within the furnace, and we really want to avoid them because otherwise it can be mixed within the glass and then create some inclusion in the packaging, the glass packaging at the end. And we have this for lemonade, for instance. There were some historical lemonade producer that were using some swing top, and they was using ceramic on the top. And we said, actually, it's not possible because it's really disturbing the recycling. And we decided to find a way to trying to solve this problem. So we decided to put the modulation on this specific packaging element. So we said to our client, if we still use ceramic or porcelain within your glass packaging, then you will have to pay some extra fee. So you should use instead plastic or organic material that are not that they don't have the same consequences on the recycling chain. And actually, they changed the design directly, and we don't have anymore this kind of process in our recycling industry.
Well, we can be proud that today in Spain, 7 out of every 10 glass packaging is collected. And that's thanks to the commitment of packers, recyclers, citizens, and also public authorities. We offer a very efficient and effective solution to any company that is putting glass packaging in the market. It doesn't matter if it's a big company, a small company, or the quantity of glass in the market. And how we do it? We do it through the collection of glass packaging in glass containers, more than 200,000 containers located all around the country. These are containers that are exclusive for glass packaging, and this has been proven to be the most effective and efficient solution for glass recycling. What we obtain is a huge quantity of glass, any kind of glass, all kind of colors, it doesn't matter the size, putting everything together with very good quality. 98% of glass collected, waste glass packaging collected, has this quality that with no need of a sorting directly goes to recycling.
We should strive all together to go for that 100% circularity. Means making sure that all of our packs are 100% recyclable, they are 100% collected, and then also maximizing the amount of recycled materials that we use. So if we have access to the raw materials, then we can reuse them again in the next packaging that we're having. So the message to consumers is really, please bring back those packages, make sure that we can do what we need to do in terms of recycling and reusing it again.
If we want to be successful in this field, definitely we need to collaborate all together with our customers because I mean the retailers, because they are absolutely key in this chain.
Future will be sustainable or will not be, no, at the end of the day. And for us, it is clear that circularity is critical. But we understand circularity in two ways, no, that are interconnected clearly as recyclability, but also reusability. And for us, it is critical that we work in these two ways. And in this future, I think that all of us need to be involved and need to respond that question: how you want to reach and get that circularity. And that is a question not only for industry, but also for consumers, for public administration, for recyclers, for everyone.
We are now working on developing our new strategic plan, focus on the targets we have in 2030. Targets related to recycling targets, but also to separate collection goals. And they are very ambitious, and we are focusing on the best plans we have to develop. We have the commitment of the packers, but what we're asking also to the public authorities is that we need the co-responsibility of all the stakeholders of the recycling chain. We need that the public authorities take the waste management as a priority for each municipality in our country.
The objective for us as a key actor for glass packaging, but only in France, and actually we have a European view, would be to have some glass packaging design recommendation that could be actually consensual within all the value chain, and not only in France, but all around Europe and maybe in the world. We know exactly what are the disturbing part and what is actually a good design for glass packaging. We need to find a consensus and find right recommendation that could be shared all around Europe. It would be really, really key for the industry and for the brand owners.
We talk about Europe, one single market. When it comes to collection, we are not one single market. We are a diversity of markets. And as I was saying clearly, some are doing better than others. And what is missing is collaboration. Everybody has been focused in their country, in their silo, on implementing their solution. And there hasn't been enough conversation with other countries on how, you can learn good practices and bad practices. Close the Glass Loop offers us that platform where now finally people are coming together, exchanging views, and exchanging best practices and putting together strategies to hit those targets. So Close the Glass Loop offers actually an acceleration platform than what legislation does. It's like the enabler of that legislation, is the implementing act of that legislation. And so it is that platform that allows us to bring to life a target through collaboration and accelerate its implementation, because none of us want to wait until 2029, 2030. We want to do it, make this happen now. Close the Glass Loop offers that platform. And I look at, since we joined, the work that has been done nationally with launching national initiatives and national plans. I mean, I'm extremely optimistic about, hitting our objectives thanks to Close the Glass Loop.